So, welcome to Design Love Podcast. Let's talk design, where I share tips and hacks to help you design your life and your home your way. It is your girl, Denise Joy, and I am an interior designer, a space curator. I'm a 26-year college professor, and I'm the founder of Learning to Live Abroad, where I share my step by step progress to retire and to move abroad, along with information for women like you who might want to retire and achieve their move abroad dreams. I am so excited about today's episode. I'm going to be teaching on how to design your home, how to decorate your home using wall art and wall decor. Now, this fits in with the series that I have been doing. Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining me live today. The series that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks on how to design your home to fit your lifestyle. That's one of the things that I understand so many women really, they kind of struggle with that because, and I get it. The influence of trends will make you think your home should look like, some magazine layout or something that you've seen on Instagram, versus those things should inspire you to more deeply explore your own personality, your own particular style preferences, and really start from there. So this is so important to me to share this kind of information that will inspire you to dig deeper and to identify what's right for you. Okay, I'm feeling a little fly today, y'all. I had my hair did. I got my hair did. I got it retwisted, and I got the little, curly cues here, which I just love it. I don't know what it is when we get our hair done, right? Or just anything, or nails, hair, whatever. But I'm just feeling a little funky and fly, and I'm wearing my earrings. My son brought me back from Colombia. So this is shout out to my son, my sunshine. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me live, Imelda. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really feeling it. So I am thinking about re-dyeing my tips blonde for the summer. Well, if I do it for the summer, it's going to be long term anyway. But anyway, y'all will see it if I do decide to go that route. Again, are you all watching with Love Megan? I had a commenter who was saying that it really wasn't their style. They were more into Giada and Ina Garten and so on, which is great. You know what? I've watched all of those people before, Ina Garten, Giada, even Martha Stewart. I just really am feeling with Love Megan. There's some things there that I find that she does, well, I can't argue with anything she's doing because almost all the things that she's doing on that show, I have done those things and will continue to do those things. I am an urban homesteader. I'm a gardener. I'm a interior designer, space curator, both inside and out. So let me know in the comments, is that what you're feeling? If you are a first-time watcher, you haven't subscribed yet, or you've been watching and you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe. Yes, come on through. Yes, Imelda. All right, we are our people. I'm loving it. It's just a great inspiration. So again, if you have yet to subscribe, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. Design Love Podcast drops on every Monday and Wednesday live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, it becomes a video and you can obviously watch and rewatch the replays. I also want to say thank you so much to my faithful subscribers and live viewers. Y'all make it so much fun. I'm really hyped and passionate about the things that I share and teach on this podcast, but having the live viewers just takes it up a whole notch. So I've had so many people commenting, leaving questions, debating, which is all good and encouragement. I really appreciate you all showing up for the show, and for me too. It makes it so much more fun. So today, I'm going to be teaching on how to decorate your home with art and wall decor for more bang, for way less for way less buck, right? Less moolah. I have the principle of custom on a budget. You should be able to do take tips and hacks and really elevate and up level the vibration in your home without spending a ton of money. So, always let me know what state or country you're watching from. I have international viewers, which is always fun and exciting. If you have a question or a comment, we build community here. Please drop it in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, absolutely let me know where you're watching from. And always, what are you getting out of these episodes? You might not take every single point away, might not be your takeaway, but there's something that's just for you. If you walk away with one thing, two would be great, but one thing you say, I am going to implement that. I'm going to shift that. I'm going to shift my mindset. I'm going to increase my skill set. That is so awesome. All right, Illinois, Midwest. I am born and raised in Nebraska, so Midwest crew in the house. In the Midwest is where we say the birth of house music. So, particularly in Illinois and Chicago, in fact. So I grew up, vibing and rocking it out to house music. Always got to give the nod to Illinois and to Chicago in particular. So today, let's dive in. Let's dive in. I have a lot to cover. I am also a visual artist. I started drawing at a very young age and had an affinity, actually really influenced by my aunt who is now transitioned. But my aunt, all right, Virginia, come on. Yes. All right, Michelle, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I've been in the DC area for 32 years now. So, this is my home now, but born and raised in the Midwest. But I was a visual artist and my aunt was an artist. My aunt really influenced me and inspired me. She would draw freehand on the walls in her home or put leather and burlap and then paint on the burlap in her home. I just was like, a lot of people thought my aunt was out there and I thought my aunt was the business. Okay. She was out there, but in the best way. So I'm a visual artist. In fact, when I went to elementary and high school, I spent half of the day in this kind of unique school environment in my hometown where half of my day was all visual art. And I thought I was going to go to college and study visual art, but then I ended up going to college and studying theater, intending to study like set design because I could merge my love of interiors. But long story short, they did not have a set design degree. So I studied acting, which I had also done, ended up on television. Anybody who's ever seen the hit drama series, The Wire, I was a recurring character on that show. Performed locally here in the DC area on stages. So anyway, I've had a couple of reinventions in my life. But nonetheless, a visual artist. And I have a tremendous appreciation for wall art. So we're going to cover a couple of different things. When I'm talking about wall art, I'm also talking about wall decor. So we're going to talk about things like mirrors, mixed media like metal or woodwork. That's wall decor, something that you are going to hang on the wall and you want it to have both a functional and an artistic aspect to it. So there's also ways to hang non-traditional things and sort of turn them into art by putting them on the wall. For example, real quick, a collection of vintage pocketbooks or purses, things like that. You could put that, or vintage hats, or maybe even a combination of kind of modern hats and older hats. You could collect those together as a grouping and hang them and create a wall piece, an art piece on your home. Remember, this is also about infusing your personality. Letting trends be an inspiration, not letting the trend be your rule of how you live. And you end up creating a space and you look around and say, you know what? There's really not a lot of me in this room or not a lot of my family members in this home. So art is really, I think of art as like improvisation. You've probably heard the word improvisation before, but I want to give you a kind of a quick, brief little definition. Improvisation is when you create something and it seems as if you haven't planned it. Why? Because improvisation leans into you trusting your gut or trusting your intuition. You just sort of know, you just understand these things will go together and you go for it. So becoming like your own best home interior designer, interior decorator is also about you learning to trust your gut. Yes, learn some of the things that I'm sharing with you on this podcast, but eventually you're going to need to pull all of what you're hearing and learning and trust yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put these things together. I understand just enough about color theory, just enough about pattern and rhythm and movement in a room, and I'm going to put these things together. So today, let's cover these 8 areas: for top photographs, art prints, original art, creating gallery spaces using oversized art, using digital print or screen print art, and putting the right art piece on the right wall, and then hanging art in a non-traditional way. And remember, art is also wall decor. Before we jump into number one, let's talk about a couple of places you can even get art. So, flea markets. Flea markets are a great place for you to pick up. You can actually find some contemporary art, but if you really want to look for some vintage or older pieces because you want to blend glam and vintage, or modern and contemporary and vintage, which I think is a phenomenal footprint to create in your home, check out flea markets, thrift stores. And then there's always your online resources like Etsy. You can also you can purchase from your favorite artists on their website. There's a lot more of that happening today. You know, there's a lot going on in the US. And so there are lots of sort of micro movements about supporting artists, supporting Black artists, supporting visual artists and designers who might be doing home decor. So you could also, here's another quick hack, check art schools, student sales. There's usually a student show at art schools or schools with art programs, and you can get some really wonderful original pieces at you know, that custom on a budget price, because that student is going to go off and their price is going to go up because they're going to continue to create. Remember that art is collected over time or curated, selected specifically for a particular vibe that you want. I recommend you have a combination of prints, original paintings, and if you have the gift for visual art like I do, create your own. In fact, this wall behind me, that is hand painted by me. It's oversized art, right? It's inspired by a West African Kuba cloth. It's my version of a Kuba cloth print, hand painted on this wall. It's a statement piece, an accent wall, all the things. I love it. Many people comment about this wall. Art and wall decor asks you to take into consideration color, scale, texture, and pattern. I'm always repeating because those are our four elements that we're using when we're designing a space. Color, scale, which means size, texture, and pattern. And here's the thing, art does not have to match the furniture in your room. It doesn't have to match. It really doesn't have to match. All right. I can't stress that enough. All right, let's jump into number one, photographs. And hey, what's up, Diane? Welcome to the show live. I appreciate you joining, faithful subscriber and watcher and viewer. Photographs. Now, we have gotten farther away. When I say we, just as a society, because of digital, media and things like that, we don't really print out our photographs like we used to sort of back in the day. But you can change that. You can reverse that. If you've gone on vacation, or maybe you're just a photo hobbyist and you like to walk your community and take pictures of flowers and things like that, you can send those photos off to your favorite local drugstore or an online picture printing site and have them printed. And you can have them printed in 8x10 smaller sizes, or maybe even larger sizes. And then you can get those pictures framed. They become a great statement moment, a memory moment for you, an attraction for people. Say, oh, wow, that's so pretty. Where's that from? Or where's that? And then you can also say, I took that photo, right? That's, again, taking pride in adding your personality to your home, to your room. Also, family photos. I'm a fan of doing black and white. I think it's really classy and crisp. Getting a series of family photos, group them in even numbers versus, I usually say odd numbers for vignettes like 3 and 5, but for family photos, even numbers 4, 6, or 8, and get the photos printed all in the same size and then framed in something classic, maybe like a burnished bronze, or either all black or some tonal color of gray, and maybe even have them masked, but nonetheless. And then you're going to position them in an order along a wall or in a diagonal pattern, maybe in a stairwell or something. And then you have your family photos making a really unified, harmonious statement in the home. So don't leave yourself out. Remember, outdoor pictures, vacation trips. Talk about this, is particularly if it's your hobby. Add your hobby to your home. My son is an artist. He's a creative director, and I have two of his photos that he took in art school hanging in our home. They're black and white, they're beautiful, and it just is a lot of pride, I know, for him to even see his work in our home. And also, people often comment about those photographs. Now, number two, now let's talk about art prints. Art prints are when an artist has done a printing of their original art and they're selling those prints at a lower price. It's a great way for you to maybe get like a Bisa Butler or one of your favorite artists, and you can get their work at a lower price. Now, a Bisa Butler print is, still going to be on the pricier side, but it will not be at the cost of the thousands of dollars of any of her amazing, phenomenal quilt art pieces. If you don't know who Bisa Butler is, look her up and check her out. And you might start a little savings for yourself to get one of her original art prints. Well worth it. So art prints are a great way to continue to support your local artist or your national artist who is out there making their living, creating awesome art for the community. Don't shy away from mixed media as well. A lot of times you think of mixed media as maybe like a sculpture or something that might sit on the floor or sit on a table, but there are wonderful art pieces being designed by artists that are a combination of metal, wood, found objects, and they're making a statement about something that they feel strongly and passionately about. And that's another thing you can hang on your wall to draw attention, right? And to create a statement moment in your home. All right, number three, original art. Original art is usually something, well, not usually, but I'm referring to original art painted on a canvas. All right. So canvas art pieces are going to be more expensive because it can take quite some time to paint a piece of art. And you're also purchasing the artist's idea, their IP, their intellectual property, their vibe, their energy that they have infused into that art piece. So original canvas pieces, again, you can get those from the artist's website. You can go to art shows, you can go to art galleries for that kind of work to acquire original artwork. I think every home should have a piece of original artwork. And again, if you need to save for it, wonderful. Do that. Find an artist that you love, you appreciate, and you want that energy in your home, because all art is communicating something. Well, actually, everything in our home is communicating something. It's communicating energy. And what we're trying to do is to put this piece of energy next to this piece of energy to create another moment of those things being in combination and in community with one another. Very powerful when we're creating those energetic moments in our home, in our space. Number four, gallery walls or gallery moments. So a gallery is where you hang multiple items. A gallery wall is typically where you hang multiple items, both art and wall decor, and you kind of cover the wall. It can be, for some people, they don't like it. They think, ooh, that's just too much. It's overwhelming. Other people absolutely love to create the disruption, and how that artwork and those wall decor pieces working together are unpredictable. All right. So it's a really fun way to bring intrigue and to draw people into a space, because it actually makes you want to walk over there and check out each piece a little closer, because there's a lot going on, if you will. So you can do a gallery wall. In one of my clients' home, I did a gallery stairwell it's stunning, absolutely stunning. This particular client had a lot of small to medium-sized pieces of art and photographs. And the stairwell to go from her kitchen down to her basement, because I was designing the basement into a den and a combination laundry bathroom. I said, you know what? We need a moment so that when people come in and they start walking down these stairs, they kind of want to linger. It's no longer just a pass through to get from upstairs to downstairs. It's its own moment. Okay. It's a highlight. She says people always talk about the stairwell gallery. So there's, again, medium-sized art, there's photographs. There was, she had like a found object piece of art, wall decor I put in there. I'm gonna just pat myself on the back, or they say pop my collar on that one. Turned out stunning. So in other words, think of ways to group your artwork and wall decor together to create really special moments that people want to talk about. People want to linger there. You want to linger there. You want to check it out. I created a unique gallery moment in my own home where I had an inner corridor. I live in a 1925 bungalow, and it's my bungalow's 100-year birthday this year. I've been doing a whole series about that, so you can check out those videos if you are interested. But nonetheless, I have this inner corridor where the bedrooms and the bathroom kind of spin off, and it was like empty. So I actually filled that whole corridor with art. So now, instead of people just sort of passing through there to kind of get to the bathroom, you stop, you're like, oh, I didn't expect this. This is so unexpected. Oh, that's so nice. What is that? Literally, it becomes this kind of, so people come out of the bathroom, they're like, wow, what's this piece? And then they want me to come over. There's some pieces of that I drew of my son, some charcoal drawings in there, along with some thrifted vintage pieces, along with some contemporary pieces. So I'm using that as that gallery moment in that space. I hope you're getting some ideas, you guys. Let me know in the comment section. Hey, little Mac, I didn't see you popped in. I'm so happy you joined live today. It's always a joy to have you here on the show. All right, let's look at number 5. I think I'm on number 5. Yeah, oversized art. Okay, oversized art is when you have art that takes up a big portion of the wall. We're talking like 4 by 6 or maybe even bigger than that. Oversized art is clearly a statement piece, right? And you want to make sure that you're putting your oversized art on a wall that can accommodate it. Because now we're talking about scale, the size of an item in proportion to the rest of the room and the other pieces in the room. So I have my own original oversized art above my sofa in my living room. You can check out my video, Afro Boho Living Room House Tour, and you can see that piece of art there. And it always gets a lot of conversation. First, people talk about the art itself. And then when I say that I painted it, they're like, oh my, but I love large pieces, hence me painting this Kuba cloth inspired pattern on this wall. I love large pieces. I love things that make a statement. I love pattern. All right. And I love certain colors in combination together. Welcome to the show, everybody who's watching live. I really appreciate it. So oversized art, take the risk. Let me know in the comments. Are you into oversized art? Are you like, Denise, I don't know now. That's a little bit too much for me. I encourage you to give it a try. You would be surprised at how much, even though the piece is large, if you get it in the right scale, it doesn't feel large because it's going to be, it's going to live in harmony with the rest of the room and the rest of the pieces, the size of your sofa and the other items you have in the room. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, you can also group pieces together. In fact, the piece that I have that's 4 by 6 is actually 4 different art. Actually, it started out as one large piece. Then I cut it because it's painted on fabric and made it into 4. And I had those 4 sections framed separately and then hung together as a grouping to make one large art piece, oversized piece. Let me know in the comments if you want to give it a try. Let's look at number 6, digital print or screen print art as wallpaper. So I mentioned earlier that this is hand painted on the wall, but you can get your favorite photos, patterns, printed, screen printed onto like a wallpaper and then attached to the wall, and these can be removable. So you don't have to have them there forever. All right, Michelle. Yes. Oh gosh, come on. Loft living, absolutely. Those high ceilings, expansive spaces. Yes, come on. Yes, boho and afro, absolutely, you guys. All right. Again, y'all are my people here. I love it. So for those of you who aren't as enthusiastic, I do encourage you to give that oversized art a try. Take more calculated and strategic risks in 2025. If you've been living it safe in your home, be bolder, right? You can do it. You can do it. So your digital print, you can get those printed a on a piece of removable wallpaper, and you can have that different vibe. These work well in lots of rooms, but they work really well in children's rooms. So if you have children, great nieces and nephews, grandkids, and you might have a playroom or play space, this is a fun way to add art into the space and do something a little bit more edgy that you might not want there forever. Little Mac, you said you see a lot of people buy art from Goodwill and they're painting over the art. Yes, I agree. I've seen that too. So they have the size and the frame at a reasonable cost. I actually think that's a great idea. You want to make sure that when you're painting over that art, that you are using the right kind of base or primer. Now, honestly, a little hack here, you could really use a primer if you have it in your house. Like maybe you had some primer for a wall in your home and it's white. You could literally use that acrylic primer to paint over that. If you don't have that, you could also buy artist primer, a gesso, but you don't have to, that's a little more expensive, but I would go with the hack because I actually have done that hack. Purchased some art piece from the thrift store. I had some primer that I had used for the walls in my home. It was white or cream, painted over it. I let it dry for a week so that it can season and set up, or cure is what we really call it, so that you're not going to paint over it one day and then start painting it the next day, because there's a chance the paint, the primer might peel. Let a week go by to let it cure up. Generally, a week isn't really the time you need to cure something, but for what we're talking about, a week would be plenty of time. And then do something, you could even follow a design, a preset design. Again, I freehand painted this, but you could get designs and things from YouTube or from the internet or Etsy, and then you could copy and create your own custom art piece. So Little Mac, 100% yes. I'm totally a fan. I've done it before, and I encourage others to do it as well. So let's try number 6, which is that digital art, printing it on a piece of removable wallpaper. It's a great idea. Number 7, make sure you're choosing the right wall piece, or the right wall for the piece of art or decor that you have. So I'll give you an example. I had a collection, have a collection of 45s, the small records from back in the day. And I had them in a basket, and sometimes people would see the basket and kind of flip through it, and we would have conversation. And then it occurred to me that I could make a wall art installation by taking some of my favorite, I think there's 4, 8, 12 of my favorite 45s. I had a piece of really cool fabric. I got a frame from the thrift store, Little Mac, a really great, beautiful gold frame. I think this frame is 26 by 32, so it's pretty good size. So I took the frame apart and I put the fabric over the picture that was already in there, right? Then I got some double-sided tape. I stuck those 45s in there and made just a really uniform, clean design. I put the glass back on. I put the frame on and the backing, and I hung it in my dining room. And now that is a whole conversation moment for people. For people who are used to those albums, like or records they grew up, they're like, oh my God, look at the 45s. And then they look and say, oh, they see the different artists and everything. We start talking. And then for those like my great niece and nephews, they've never seen records. They're like, what's that, Auntie? And so then, boom, we have this conversation, cross-generational. As you can see, I'm totally hype about this wall art installation, wall decor that I created. And the tie-in is I put it in the dining room because in my living room, which is not that far away, I have I acquired a record player. So I play records in there. So I wanted that to tie in to the conversation from room to room. So now that wall art installation of the 45s carries the conversation forward. And I put it a little farther into the dining room. So I picked the right wall where I wanted to keep that sort of nostalgia conversation going in the home. Now, I'm being really kind of particular, but I'm just sharing this as an example where you're literally able to create moments of engagement, not just for your guests, but for you too. It's one of my favorite wall art installations I've ever created. I even go up to it. I'm like, oh, come on, Sam and Dave, right? Yes. And I'm looking at those art. Come on, Aretha. And having memories of when my mom and my aunt and them used to play those records when I was a kid. Love it, love it, love it. Let me know if you love this idea. Let me know. Little Mac, you said you saw in a model home they use chair rails and records between the chair rails. Oh, creating a custom border. That sounds so super fun. You know, ideas are out there. Inspiration is out there. Be inspired. Take that inspiration and flip it and turn it into something that has meaning for you and your home, your personality. All right, we are on number 8. No non-traditional spaces. So, you may have seen maybe like on a design show where the designer has hung art on like a closet door. And you might look at that and say, I don't know, that's what, I thought art was for the walls. Art and wall decor can really go anywhere as long as you keep it safe. Okay. So I'll give you an example in my own home. I have a guest room, and when you walk into that guest room, I have a wooden armoire to hold clothing and other things when my guests come. And the side of the armoire faces the door when you walk in. I had this really fun, longish piece of art with a vintage flower. I'm a gardener. I love flowers. And I thought that art piece would look so fun and unexpected hanging on the side of the armoire. So I hung it there. It's one of the number one things that people talk about. Oh my God, I didn't expect to see that. And then they engage with that art differently, non-traditional way, also on a closet door. Particularly if you have a closet that you don't really use that much. You can hang art pieces on a closet door. So you're using non-traditional spaces to hang art. Can you think of a spot in your home where you might hang non-traditional art? You can also hang art inside of a bookcase. So, well, you mostly lean it or prop it. But if you have a bookcase or a styling, like an etagere, you could put your art there and lean it. You could also put art in front of books. You can hang art like in that T space in between. So you're finding ways to put art in a non-traditional moment inside of your home and inside of your room. Unexpected is beautiful. Oh, yes, 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 Little Mac. Framing the records is also fun. Oh, you have both 45s and albums. Yes, yes. You can definitely do that. I had considered framing because I have a bunch of albums too in the covers. But I'm really running out of wall space, but it's a nice idea to do for something like a little bit later. I think that would be perfect. And they have the I think IKEA used to sell them. I'm not sure if they do anymore, but the frames that actually fit the actual size of your albums is something you can get. And if IKEA doesn't have it, I'm sure they have it, somewhere else. Hey, Diane. You're an artist and crafter. You love each of the examples. Oh, good, 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 good. You've mostly created your own art. You are so welcome. I'm so glad. Absolutely support your local artists, your fellow artists. Go to your the markets that you have in your area. Almost most communities have some form of a farmers market, flea markets on Saturdays, etc., and purchase things. Other things that I mentioned earlier, you can hang hats together as a grouping to create wall art installations, vintage purses, which I've done in the past, mirrors. Let me get to mirrors before we tap out here. So mirrors, for those in the hoodoo culture, there are many ways you should and shouldn't have a mirror in your home. Mirrors shouldn't face your bed. There's lots of things to learn if that's something you're into. But you want to use mirrors. Mirrors reflect light. Mirrors reflect other art. When you hang, a mirror, let's say opposite an art piece, and it sort of gives this dynamic of that art piece is in more than one place in the space. So you can use mirrors strategically. You can use different size mirrors. You might try grouping mirrors together of different sizes and different styles to also create an art installation or wall decor kind of an installation is just a sort of a fancy art term of saying it's going to be here. It may not be here forever. It's installed. We put it in this spot, but might not be here forever. It's an art term, like an art gallery term. Not to get too fuddy duddy with it, but you can create these moments in your home where you're doing those groupings and creating something that is a talking point, is an engagement point. It's intriguing to people when they come into your home. I love to have moments of disruption and moments in the home where it's not predictable. And yeah, it just makes the home more enjoyable for you and your guests. As always, you guys, let me know what is your favorite takeaway from this episode. I appreciate all of you joining me live. Be unafraid. Try new things. Try new things or flip and rework something that you've done that way for a long time in your home. Try different art, different combinations of art and wall decor. Yes! Now oh, framing fabric and hanging it on the wall. Because when I grew up, some of you've heard my story. I grew up relatively, not well off. I lived in 13 different homes from the time I was born till I was 17. My mom was a single mom. We were constantly moving. But my grandmother would take me to the thrift store, and my grandmother really perhaps is my first inspiration because she taught me about quality. She taught me about how to pick fabrics, how to look at wood. I mean, like, my grandmother did not have I don't even think she had a high school education, but she was smart, smart, smart. She understood home design. So, Diane, one of the first things I would do is go to a thrift store, and if I saw like a dress or a jacket or something that had the fabric that I enjoyed and a pattern, I would purchase it, and then I would cut it and frame it. Okay. And oh, okay, great, little Mac. Thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying the ideas. I would cut that fabric and frame it. So framed fabric was one of my very first art installations or art endeavors because it was affordable. I'd get the frame from the thrift store and I'd get the fabric from the thrift store, right? Yes. Okay, Michelle, you do use the large wall decals. Yes. Okay. Yes, of course. Yes, the decals. That is such a perfect thing. Those decals have become very popular nowadays. In addition, like I said, to the large scale, full wall printings. You can do those printings on removable wallpaper. So that's another idea. And I know I've seen some of those fun, mostly for kids' rooms, like characters in movies and stuff, and you can do the decals and put them on the wall, change the look in a kid's room and everything. Oh, yes, Diane. Yes, that framed fabric. In fact, it's what inspired me to start painting. Most of my paintings are done on fabric. In fact, I tend to paint on mud cloth, and there's a whole vibe between it. And I'll do a video about my own art. I'll do an episode and talk about that. So we always close out with an affirmation. Here's our affirmation for today's episode. I am creating a home that reflects my personality and my bold, audacious lifestyle. I appreciate each of you for joining me live today. If you are watching the replay, make sure that you drop your comment, what state or country you are watching from. And Design Love Podcast is where we talk design. I'm going to share those tips and hacks to help you design your life and your home your way. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. it's live. And if you haven't joined me live, make sure that you share this and let me know what is your takeaway. Hey, all right, Diane. Okay, I see you from Arkansas. My family is actually from Arkansas. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks so much for joining me live, everybody.